Nice to see you guys. We'll start on your back. We'll just do a little brief warm up before we start working with the balls. So I'm gonna go ahead and unmute just to make sure. You go and find your way onto your back. As you settle in here, just pause and check in, see how you're feeling this morning, not only your physical body, but just mentally and emotionally, how you're feeling. And then just on your own, start to breathe more focus in and out through your nose. And just notice how you start to feel after you just take even a little bit of focused breath. Did it change the quality of your physical body or the way you feel mentally? Just take your arms, reach them up by your ears. Give yourself a stretch. And reach the arms up towards the ceiling so your fingertips are pointing towards the ceiling. And just bend the elbows and reach your hands for opposite elbows. So you're kind of making like a box with your arms. Yeah, you got it. And then from there, let the elbows just gently drop over to the right as the head turns to the left. So they'll be going in opposite directions. And then bring the elbows and the head through center and gently take the elbows to the left and turn the head to the right. And then just bring elbows and head back through center and hug your knees towards your chest. Just take a little bit of movement with the knees hugged in. Just rock around or circle the knees. And then just take your arms out to a T and drop your legs over to the right for a simple twist. And draw the knees up through center, take them over to the other side. Bring the legs up through center. You can just roll off to one side so you can press yourself up to seated. So you can just watch. And we're gonna start with the head on the block do a little bit of net work here. So I'm trying to get the camera so you can see me. So you'll take the block on the medium height. And then we're gonna lay back with the head on the block. And so this long edge of the block that's closest to you is gonna be below the base of the skull. So if you wanna feel back, you can maybe feel for your hairline there. And you're gonna be kind of on that hairline, so you're beneath the skull. So you'll lean back and try and find that spot where the long edge of the block that's closest to you is on the muscle beneath the skull. And then the head's gonna rest on the block. And in this position, your chin is just gently tucking towards your chest instead of lifting up and back. So if you find the chin is lifting up and back, you may need to adjust the block so that the chin is just gently tucking forward. It's not being forced, but it's just that position of the head. So I like to think of the back of the neck here, canopying is that a word? Like a hammock down towards the mat. See if you can just allow the neck to soften so that the weight of the head is really supported by your block. You know, for me, this is a place that takes me a while just to settle in because I'm so used to holding the weight of my head, and it's hard for me to just let go of that need to do that. And then very gently, just start to turn your nose towards the right. So just come to a place where you feel like the head is turning to the right and you've met your edge, so you can't turn it any further, and don't force it. Just find a place that feels really natural and soft. And then from there, bring the nose about halfway back between that far point to the right and the center. So as you do that, you might start to feel some ropey muscles there, and really find a place that feels intuitive. So if halfway back doesn't feel quite right, you can turn the nose a little to the right so you feel the muscle. And then from there, imagine there's a quarter and start to trace the quarter with your nose. So you're making tiny circles with the nose in one direction. And then take those circles the opposite direction. You're just getting this tiny little massage on those muscles there on the back right side of the neck. And then just slowly turn the nose back to center. So you're at the place where you started. And just notice how the right and the left sides feel. And then gently just turn the nose over to the left again, just coming to the edge there where you can turn the head, but it's not forced. And then bring the nose back about halfway towards center. And again, it might be a little different for you. So you're just looking to find that sort of ropey muscle there. And then once you land, start to trace that quarter again, one direction. Just circles with the nose. And then we'll take those circles the opposite direction. You find one side feels really different, maybe you hold tension more on one side. And then just turn your head back to center. So you're back in your starting position. Again, notice the right and the left sides now. Take one more breath, just see if you can imagine letting the neck drape down. And then very carefully, just remove your block and come to laying flat on your mat for a moment. If you like to have a blanket under your head, usually you could put a blanket there just to feel supported. And just take a moment to notice how the neck feels, maybe even the shoulders, maybe even the jaw and the face. And just carefully roll yourself off to one side so you can press yourself up to seated. And then we'll use the balls, so you can reach for them. If they're in the little bag, you can just take them out of the bag. So we're going to use them together, but we want to be able to have them separate. So once you have that, we're going to work in the upper back region, the muscles along the sides of the spine, between the shoulder blade and the spine. So you can get into this one of two ways. You can put the balls down about an inch apart and then try to lay yourself back so they're in the upper back region. And I should probably show you this seated. So you're going for sort of this area up here, and we'll use both balls at the same time. And if putting the balls there first and trying to get onto them doesn't make sense for you, you could lay back and then tuck the balls underneath you. So see what feels most intuitive for you. I think I'm just going to tuck them behind me so you can use your opposite hand to place it to the upper back area. So again, you want to be on the muscles that run alongside the spine, between the shoulder blade and the spine. And let's say somewhere in the upper half of the back there. So upper part of the shoulder blade area, if that makes sense. So sometimes this can feel a little intense. If it feels nice, you could place a folded blanket under your head for a little support. And then just take an inhale and an exhale. Another inhale and exhale. And continue to breathe like that. Just noticing on the exhales if you can just relax the area where the balls have landed. And so if this already feels like a place that is tender or you're just settling in, you're welcome to be still. Sometimes it just feels nice to be still. If you want to try a little bit of movement with your arms, you could take the arms to a T and then maybe give yourself a hug. Take your right arm over your left arm for a hug. And then you could just move in and out of that maybe a little bit. So arms to a T, hug, and you could alternate which arm is on top for that hug. And if you like the hug position, maybe you land there in the hug. And you can take a really gentle sway of the elbows side to side. So you're just starting to move the torso a little bit and rock side to side on those balls. So lots of options here, and I like what you're doing. Just explore and see what you like. So much of this is just kind of learning what feels good for you, and every day will be different. And then if you're still moving, just take your arms down by your sides. Just find some stillness. Take several more breaths here. Just noticing what it feels like the longer you sit here. And then we'll find one more place in that upper back region. So you may want to bend your knees so you can press into your feet, lift your hips, push your body towards the back of your mat so the balls will roll down. So the balls are going to come lower in the upper back, still between the shoulder blade and the spine. So you can, again, see what feels most helpful for you, but just continue to be on the muscles that are running alongside the spine. You may have to adjust what's happening with a blanket under your head with this position. I find it puts me in a bigger back bend in that thoracic region, and I like to have some support from my head, so you can play with it. Just take a couple purposeful breaths here. And same thing as the previous location, if you want to try some movement with the arms, you could go T to a hug and take that movement several times, or maybe landing in the hug and rocking the elbows side to side. So you now kind of know what you're doing. Just explore on your own. If you're still moving the arms, take them down by the sides. Just find stillness for several more breaths. And then whatever feels like the easiest way for you to get off your balls, you could roll to the side, or you could reach underneath you, or you could sit up. We'll actually make our way back to the back with nothing underneath you. So I just want you to lay flat in a position that feels good after you remove your props. So you can just notice what it feels like to be neutral. Feels, and then down through the upper back region, even all the way down the spine to the low back region. And just carefully roll yourself off to the side so you can come up to seated. We'll use the balls now in their bag. So if while I'm talking, you want to go ahead and put them in the bag, or if you have a foam roller, you can use a foam roller for this one. So I'll show you both options. But we're going to work the TFL IT band area for those of you that know where that is. Black pants, hard to see. So we're going to be working sort of on the outer thigh here. So the balls will be in the bag, and I'm going to have them positioned like this so we can roll the balls up and down. You kind of see that. Yeah, I see some of you guys are just exploring that. So we're actually going to do this laying on your side. So I'm not going to look like I'm mirroring you. I'm going to look like I'm doing opposite from you. But let's start on the right side. So I like to just be resting on the right forearm here, and then you're going to place those balls like we just were practicing right above the knee, so on that outer thigh area. And if you have the foam roller, you can do this with your foam roller, okay? So wherever you are, same scenario, we're gonna lift the hips and start to roll the balls up towards the hip and then back down towards the knee. So you're probably not gonna roll the whole outer thigh area. It might be the lower third or the lower half. And then just find a place that feels like you can set your hips down and land. And once you do that, your right foot is going to be up off the mat. I know it's hard to see, and your hips will be down. Okay, so you can stay on the forearm. I'm actually going to move down to rest my head and my hand here because now I feel more supported. You can see what feels good for you. And then if your left leg is bent, straighten it. So both legs are straight and the feet are lifted. And you're going to start to do this, my teacher calls it this little moonwalk, where you take one foot forward and one foot back. So you're just kind of, it's almost like you're walking while you're on your side. Notice if you're holding your breath. I noticed I was holding my breath because this can be, for me, an intense place. You can find stillness with your legs. I'm going to bend my top leg so I can put that left foot back down on the mat. And then I actually think I'm going to come back to my forearm because I'm going to roll again here. So I find it more helpful to be on the forearm so I can lift my hips. So now you're going to take those balls maybe to the middle of the thigh, so middle from knee to hip, and we're going to roll the top part of the hip. So just find a different spot really than where you were before. It's hard for me to see you, so just find a place that is a different spot. And then the same thing, once you find a place that you can land, maybe you drop down and place the head in the hand, and then straighten the left leg and start to do your little moonwalk. Just notice how the different parts of the outer thigh probably feel pretty different. Maybe one place feels softer, or harder, or more tender. And then from there, you can just take your balls over to the side. Let's come up to seated actually. I'm gonna have you lay down, but I think it'll feel more interesting to be seated. So let's just come into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, knees out wide, and close your eyes. Notice how the outside of the right and left thigh, maybe even all the way up through the hip region feels here. Maybe you take a gentle fold forward of the torso just to see how that feels. And then just to lift your torso up, let's extend your legs in front of you. Take just a little shake out of the legs. And notice how that feels. That feels pretty interesting. I like to take my legs in all different positions. And then let's do the other side. So find your way onto your left side. Again, we'll start in the lower portion of that thigh. So right above the knee on the outside of the thigh. And then once you're on the forearm, you can lift the hips and start to roll the balls up and down, like bottom third or half of the thigh. This side is so much more awkward for me to roll. And then once you find a place that's comfortable, you can land, maybe taking the head into your left hand. And straighten the right leg if it's bent so both feet are elevated, and start to take your little walk with the feet forward and back. And then from there, maybe you pop back onto that left forearm so you can move the balls to maybe halfway up the thigh, and you can roll the top part of the thigh. So hips up, roll up and down. And then find a place where you can set the hips back down, maybe resting the head in the hand again, and start to take your little walk. I think it's always interesting to notice how the right and the left side feel. So for me, my right side feels like a rock. Left side, not so much. So interesting. And then you can make your way up off your balls. Come up to seated. Let's just bring soles of the feet together, knees out wide again. Oh, that feels interesting now. So maybe you close your eyes, sit up tall. Again, notice the outer thighs, both sides, even up to the hips, outer hip. Maybe you take a gentle lean forward if you'd like to explore that. And then if you lean forward, you can come back upright. We're actually going to stay seated, and you can just use one ball. So you can take one ball out of your bag. And we're going to work on sort of the outer lower leg here. So you can just let's take your right shin and just feel this right now. So just notice where your shin bone is here. And then we're going to go lateral to the shin bone. So you can feel the muscle that runs alongside here, the outer lower leg. So we're going to take the ball starting near the knee, and it might be easier to see it here. I don't know. You're going to take the leg and rest it on the ball. So if you feel like you can't get enough weight just because of the angle of your hip, you could put like a blanket or a block underneath you. A block's too high for me, but that might work for some of them. Explore how to get the floor up to you so you can put the ball between the leg and the floor. Yeah. And so from there, it might find it helpful to put your right forearm on your leg and kind of lean your shoulder in and out so you can get a little more weight onto that ball. We're looking for medium pressure here, so don't kill yourself. I know we have this tendency to want to go deep. And once you find medium pressure, just hold there. Resting there, almost like you're watching TV. Actually, it feels like we're watching the screen. And this is one of those spots that, ooh, I just got a little thing that said connection unstable, so I hope I'm not losing you. But this is one of those spots that it's not like, oh, it feels so good, but it's interesting. So we don't pay a lot of attention to this part of our bodies. So let's take the weight off of that, and now we'll move the ball down towards the ankle any amount. So you can roll that ball down and find a place that feels interesting or helpful and do that little lean in and out. And then once you find a spot, we'll just land there. And just take a couple breaths. your weight off of that. You can take your ball to the side for a second. Let's just extend the legs in front of you and point and flex your feet and just notice what that feels like all the way along the lower leg there where you were working. This feels interesting. And then maybe take some circles with the feet and then take them the opposite way. We'll do the other side, so you have to adjust all your props if you were using something to elevate the floor. And then we'll start again, outside lateral to the shin, closer to the knee, but make sure you're on something soft muscle. And put your forearm on your knee and maybe lean in and out. Your right leg can be wherever's comfortable. It might be more comfortable for you to have it straight. I feel comfortable with mine bent, but I'm normal, so find what's normal for you. And then find medium pressure and pause there. I love having Adrienne in class because she's the body worker and I always want to ask her questions, but I'll ask her after class. All right, and then from there, we'll take one more spot. So again, rolling the ball down towards the ankle, really any amount, so you can explore a little bit what feels good, and then do that little lean and out so you can find medium pressure. And then once you find it, just pause there and breathe. And then you can come out of that. Let's take the legs out in front of you again. This movement with the feet. Just notice how that movement feels along the ankle and the outer leg. And then we have one more thing we're going to do for the myofascial. Have you come into tabletop and just take some cat-cow on your own here. And just notice how the belly feels as you drop it and then as you curl the spine. I think it's interesting to notice how my lower legs feel here after doing that, and my ankles. And then bring your big toes together, sit your hips back, come into child's pose, and just take some breaths there. Maybe again, bringing attention to the lower leg or the outer thigh where we worked. I know we didn't do this pose before, but you guys do it a lot. So maybe you just know how that usually feels for you when you come into child's pose. And then make your way up to seated so you can see this last spot we're going to do. So we're going to do both balls at the same time. They'll be out of the bag. We're going to be doing this on the belly. So as always, this can feel intense, so you have options. If you get down there and it doesn't feel good, you could place a towel or a blanket over the balls. It's a little harder to adjust them, but that's an option. Or you can roll your blanket up and just use a rolled blanket, and I'll show you that. So for this one, I like to think of my torso in two panels, and I actually like that I'm wearing a zipped sweatshirt because that helps. So two halves of the torso here. We're gonna go right below the rib cage in the center of each side. So imagine this is one side. I'm looking for the center of that panel beneath the rib cage, and you can feel it with your fingers. And then you're gonna go down just a couple inches. So you're really in soft tissue. You wanna stay away from the rib cage there. So some of you found it was just your fingers. You could even put your balls there just to get a frame of reference. And then we're gonna make our way onto our belly. So I like to come onto the belly first and then tuck the balls underneath me now that kind of know where they're gonna go. So you can take your right hand, go to the right half of the torso, a couple inches below the rib cage, and then you'll do the same thing with your left one. So you have choices with the upper body. You can stack the palms of the hands and rest the forehead down, so it's like the hands are acting as a little pillow. I think that's less intense, personally, less pressure on the balls. Or you could take Sphinx in your upper body, so you're on forearms with the elbows under the shoulders. But you can explore and see what works. If you don't like the balls, just take a rolled blanket, and you'll take that roll, same location beneath the rib cage. And then just notice what it feels like to have the balls there. I think for most of us, this can feel different. And I know for me, when I first started doing this, and I've said this to some of you guys before, my inclination was to tense up, which made it kind of hard. So see if you can take an inhale, and exhale, soften the belly. Take another inhale, and exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Yeah, just a little bit longer here. So just find a soft breath on your own. And then carefully just remove your balls. And you can either just come to laying on your belly, or you can come to seated if that's more comfortable for you. I know not for everyone feels good to be on the belly. So just take a couple breaths. Notice how that area feels. Maybe even notice if the quality of the breath is small. You can just take your hands by your rib cage. Press yourself back to tabletop. Take a couple more rounds of cat-cow here. And just notice how the belly feels as you move between the two poses. After you take your next exhale, just come back to neutral and tabletop. We'll take thread the needle with the arm. So take your right arm, reach it towards the ceiling, and then draw that arm under the body, coming all the way down. Maybe the left arm extends forward with the left palm flat. Bring the left hand back under the shoulder. Press yourself back to tabletop. Just wiggle your hips side to side. And then come back to stillness. Reach your left arm up towards the ceiling and draw it under the body. Maybe right arm goes forward. your right hand back under your shoulder, press back to tabletop, wiggle your hips side to side again. And then sit your hips back into child's pose. Just take a breath there. So once you're in child's pose, take an inhale and an exhale. Make your way up through tabletop and come into downward facing dog. Let's take some movement in that first down dog. And as you do that, maybe you bring awareness to the legs and how they feel, especially since we worked at the outer, lower, and upper leg. Does that impact the way this feels here for you? And it's okay if the answer is no. And then walk your feet forward to your hands, forward fold at the front of the mat. On your inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, straight to downward facing dog. Just hold down dog once you get there. And then walk your feet forward to your hands, forward fold at the front of the mat. On your inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And exhale, bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, step to plank or modified plank. Take an inhale there. And exhale, lower to your belly. Inhale for cobra, lift head and shoulder. Then exhale, lower down, press through tabletop to downward facing dog. And then walk your feet forward to your hands. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to the heart. Inhale, sit back for chair. Exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, go straight to downward facing dog. Inhale, your right leg up and back. Exhale the foot by the right thumb, spin your back heel down. Inhale, warrior one, arms by the ears. Exhale, hands frame the foot, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up and back. Exhale, foot by the left thumb, back heel down. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, hands frame the foot, downward facing dog, pausing there when you get there. And then walk your feet forward to your hands, forward fold top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, sit back for chair, reach your arms up. And exhale, come to standing, straighten your legs, hands to your heart. Another round like that. Inhale for chair. Exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, straight to downward facing dog. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, foot by the right thumb, back heel down. Inhale, warrior one, arms up. Exhale, hands frame the foot, downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg up and back. Exhale, foot by the left thumb, back heel down. Inhale, warrior one, arms up. Exhale, hands frame the foot, downward facing dog. Holding in your down dog. And walk your feet forward to your hands, forward fold top of the mat. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale for chair, sit back. And then exhale, come to standing, straighten your legs, hands to your heart. Pause there, take an inhale. And an exhale. And then inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, go straight to downward facing dog. And then take your right leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands for a lunge. Stay on the ball of your back foot. And then your left arm up by your ear. I know that's a little funky. And then sweep your left hand towards the front top right corner of the mat. So you're in this little side bend, lengthening the left side of your body. And then bring the left hand back down to the mat. So you're back in the lunge. If you'd like, you can straighten your right leg so you're in modified pyramid with both legs straight or straight-ish. They might not be totally straight. Hands could be on blocks. And then if that right leg is straight, rebend it so you're back in your lunge. And then come up into crescent, take your arms up by your ears. And then bring your hands down to your heart. Lengthen your chest forward and take a twist to the right. Upper left arm to outer right thigh as I fall over. And then just unwind, bring your hands down to frame your front foot. Step back to downward facing dog. And then take your left leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands for your lunge. And then reach your right arm up by your ear. And then take that right hand, sweep it to the front left corner of your mat. So you're getting length in the right side of your body. That's it. I know it feels weird. I kind of like the strangeness of it though. And then bring your right hand to the mat. Straighten the left leg if you want modified pyramid pose. And then rebend your left knee. Come up into crescent, reach your arms up by your ears. And then bring your hands down to your heart. Lengthen your chest forward and take a twist to the left. Upper right arm, outer left thigh. And then just unwind, bring your hands down to frame your foot. Step back to plank. And then lower all the way down to your belly. Just slide your forearms forward for Sphinx pose. Bring the elbows under the shoulders. You can be still here if you like. You can take a little sway of the shoulders side to side. Just make it your own. And then just lower your head and shoulders down. Draw your hands back by the sides of your rib cage. Press through tabletop to downward facing dog. And walk your hands and your feet towards each other. Forward fold at the center of your mat. Take an inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to standing. And exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. And then hug your right knee in towards your chest. If you're not feeling that today, the ball of the right foot can just rest down. And then reach your arms up by your ears. And then nice and slowly turn the torso to the right as you take your arms to a T. And then come back through center, reach your arms by your ears. So we're gonna do that 2 more times. Twist to the right, take your arms to a T. Come back, center arms by the ears. And then twist to the right. And then back through center. And then lower your foot, draw your hands to your heart. I think you deserve a little shakeout after that, so give yourself a little shakeout. That's not easy, is it? Transitioning, that's what I like about it, but it's a challenge. All right, so hands to the heart. Hug your left knee towards your chest. Maybe the ball of the left foot's resting down now that you know what's happening if you want that support. And then take your arms up by your ears. Take your time with this movement, so don't rush it as you twist to the left, take your arms to a T. And then come back to center, reach the arms back by the ears. And then twist to the left, take the arms to a T. And then back to center, arms up. You got one last time on this side. And twist to the left, arms to a T. And then come back to center, reach the arms up. Lower the foot, lower the arms, give yourself a little shake, that feels nice. And then come to mountain pose, right where you are, center of your mat. Reach the arms down, turn the palms forward, take an inhale, reach the arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale your way to downward facing dog. You could flow through a vinyasa or just step yourself into it. And then take your right leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands. Come up into crescent, reach your arms up by your ears. And then twist your torso to your right, take your arms to a T. We're gonna move from here into that same pose where we just were. So put weight into your right foot. You're gonna hug your left knee towards your chest as you cartwheel your arms and twist your torso to the left, arms to a T. I know what just happened. We're gonna move in and out of that. So cartwheel your arms, take your left foot back, you're twisting to the right with your arms to a T. Good. And then cartwheel the arms, twist torso to the left, hug your left knee in. And then cartwheel your arms, take your left foot back, twist to the right, arms to a T. We're not going to do it anymore on that side. It's hard enough. Come back to crescent, reach your arms up. And then take your hands down, step to downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths in down dog. Recover from that if that felt a little physically and mentally challenging. A lot to absorb on a Saturday morning. And then take your left leg up and back. Bring the foot between the hands. Come up into crescent, reach your arms up. All of a sudden I'm sweating from that little thing we just did, right? So twist to the left, take your arms to a T. And cartwheel the arms, hug your right knee towards your chest as you twist to the right, arms to a T. And cartwheel your arms, take your right foot back, twist to the left, arms to a T. We'll do it one more time. So cartwheel the arms, twist to the right, hug the right knee in. And then cartwheel the arms, take the right foot back, twist to the left. Whew, that's over. Bring your left arm up by your ear. Take your hands down, step back to down dog, and then come into child's pose. And just check in. See how you're feeling. Make your way up to tabletop. Just take some cat-cow here on your own, and maybe it's a really soft cat-cow, maybe it's like halfway to your full range of motion, or maybe it feels good to go to your full range of motion. After your next exhale, you can just stop in tabletop and then take your hips off to the side so you can come back to seated. So once you're seated, just take your legs straight out to a straddle position. You may have to turn sideways depending on your space. And then once you're there, hands in front of you, and you can just take a gentle fold forward, walking the hands forward. So maybe you bend the elbows and drop to forearms, or maybe you stay on the palms of the hands. You could even rest the forehead on a block if you like that option. And then walk your hands back, lift your chest. Just draw your legs together so they're straight out in front of you. And then bend your right knee, bring the sole of the right foot to the mat. Cross the right foot over the left leg, and then bend your left leg. So you can decide, you can keep this right knee pointing up, your right knee, yes. Or if you want, you can walk the feet away from each other so you're more stacking the knees. I'll let you decide what feels best for you. And then if the top knee's pointing up, you're probably going to just be upright with the torso. If the knees are stacking, you may just gently be able to walk the hands forward and hinge the torso forward, but it's not going to be very big range of motion. So you decide and then just close your eyes. And then if you hinge forward, just lift the torso. You can just take the hands next to the hips so you can lean back on the sit bones and change the cross of the legs, doing that little can-can action. And just finding the opposite side, whatever you did, either top knee pointing up or the knees are stacking. And then if you like, you can fold yourself forward. I didn't say this on the first side, but you don't do this pose as often probably in yoga, but maybe you notice how the outer thigh feels here. Outer hip. And then just lift the torso, unwind your legs, take your legs in front of you, and just take a little shake of your legs. And I don't do this very often, but I thought it would be nice today to do a restorative pose here at the end of class. We'll also have a Shavasana, so if you don't have back and find your way to Shavasana now. If you have a bolster or a pillow or a blanket or something you can lay in front of you, we're going to come into supported child's pose. So whatever prop you have, you'll take it the long way in front of you, and you can take your knees out wide, so you can just snuggle that prop between your knees, and then you're just going to lean forward and rest your torso there on your prop. I like it. Everyone seems to have something that works. So I like to turn my head to one side. I'm going to tell you when we're halfway through so you can turn your head. If you like to have your head forward, feel free to do that if it's more comfortable to have it centered. And then just really let that prop support you. And it might take you several breaths to really allow that to happen. So just embrace whatever speed it takes for you to get comfortable. When you have your head turned to one side, turn it to the other side. gentle inhale through the nose. And a soft exhale out the mouth. And then very slowly, with minimal effort, make your way up off your bolster and then into your Shavasana. Just take your time as you transition, just keeping that really calm state of your body. Maybe you use the prop under your knees as you lay back on your back. And as you settle in on your back, just notice how you feel right now in this moment. Start to deepen your breath. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Circle your ankles and wrists. Reach your arms by your ears, give yourself a big stretch. And roll off to one side, pause on your side with your eyes closed. Never give up, because great things take time. Press into your top hand, make your way up to a comfortable seat, eyes closed, hands at the heart. And take an inhale through the nose. Exhale out the mouth, let it go. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste.